All right, everybody. So we're gonna start off. Sorry, we're gonna pick up from yesterday. So, you should have already finished at least one of the character descriptions. So today we're gonna start off with our warm up being actually finishing up the other characters. So if you did inspiration, your warm up right now is to finish up creativity. If you've already finished creativity, you need to switch to inspiration. So remember, we're looking for what each character looks like, where each character lives, and what their home looks like. 3 favorite / least favorite items, a pet peeve, and a catchphrase. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start that timer. It's 5 minutes. All right, you're at 4 minutes left on your warm up. All right, you're at about 3 minutes. You're about 2 minutes left. Remember, for everything that's timed at 5 minutes, you must have 6 to 8 sentences. And that's the bare minimum. Punctuation will be taken into account. All right, about a minute left. All right. So the next thing now is our sentence starters. So I want you to write down the following sentence starters. I define creativity as blank. Inspiration is something that blank. When I think about writing a play, I blank. I want you to use these and complete the sentences. So for me, I would define creativity as making something from nothing. Inspiration is something that motivates me to create. When I think about writing a play, I become terrified. And then I would use those three, and then I would elaborate a little bit more. So make sure you're adding about 3 to 4 sentences for each one of these. So, well, yeah. So you're gonna have 3 minutes to complete that. Write that below your warm up, or just if you need a new paper, just get some from my desk. We have plenty. 3 minutes start right now. Go ahead and finish those 3 sentence starters. I expect each one to have 2 or 3 sentences. All right, you have about 2 minutes. All right, you're at about a minute and a half. You're at about a minute left. All right, about 15 seconds left. Finish up whatever you have. So come to a stop on those sentences, and just finish completing them. All right. So the next thing we're gonna go on to is, at this point, each of you should now get a copy from the sub. It should be a packet. It should all say creativity, inspiration, art, everything. I'm gonna go ahead and I am going. If you can, go ahead and pause the video until everyone gets their assignment, and then we can hit play when everyone is back at their seats. All right. So if you have the packet, just go ahead and follow with me. So creativity is misused, maligned, misunderstood word. Many have a defined notion of creativity in terms of what they can do. I can't paint, I'm not creative, I can't act, I'm not creative, I can't write, I'm not creative. So basically, we're trying to let you know that a lot of people just think they're not creative. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have said that about yourself, or some of you think that about yourself when it comes to anything that has to do with making something from scratch, right? Some of you may feel that you're very confident, but there's also some of you that may feel like that is not your strongest skill. But most of the time, they believe creativity is something you're born with, you have it, or you don't. Creativity is a talent possessed by the lucky few. Uh, I know I thought about this. I know I believed in this. And so I doubt that there's anyone who just thinks that creativity is, you know, I doubt there's anyone in the classroom who's never thought of it like this, you know? So, but the truth is, again, this is something that many people feel. If you feel this way, you're not alone. If you're feeling insecure about writing, you are not alone. There's numerous people who think this way or who feel this way. The real definition of creativity is doing something new. This definition can be applied to the arts, science, city planning, managing an office, problem solving is creative. So, in all reality, creativity isn't all about if you can create. It's basically, can you do something new? Most of you, if not all of you, can do that. You did a project which was new for all of you. So, I'm pretty sure you can do this writing. It's the only thing is that it's new to you. So keep coming back to this definition. When I write something new, that's being creative. Every one of you is going to do something creative in this unit, whether you believe it or not. You're gonna write something, and we don't need to judge it. All we need to know is that it's something creative. It's something new. I'm not looking for good or bad. I'm looking for just you attempting to be creative and attempting to create something new. So remember that as you're writing. The same applies to inspiration. Many think I need to be inspired to write. Writing only happens when you're inspired. I can't write unless I have an amazing idea. This is very irritating to hear sometimes because it makes people feel as if though if they don't feel the idea, there's no way that they can create that idea. Well, the truth is, as anyone who writes for a living will tell you, writing happens more often when you're not inspired. Writing usually happens when you don't want to write and you do it anyway. When you create a habit of writing and commit to it, make writing a habit just as you have a habit of brushing your teeth. Writing every day, inspiration or not, will lead to more consistent writing and more finished writing. And that's our goal. So sometimes, yeah, inspiration is great to have, but in reality, inspiration isn't what gets you to that great idea. It's the fact that you practice more so every day. You're writing every single day, and now you know how to write. You are getting to those ideas much faster. So it's a skill that you have to practice. It's not something that comes to you naturally, right? And that's with anything. So this is the purpose of the automatic writing prompts, to encourage you to get words on the page when you don't feel like writing, to help you create a habit of writing by doing it every day. And it's not for 5 hours or even an hour. You don't brush your teeth an hour a day, right? 5 minutes of writing every day is more effective than an hour once a week, right? Brushing your teeth every single day is 10 times better than brushing your teeth for an hour once a week. And so we're trying to get you, or I am trying to get you into the habit of writing on different prompts every single day for short periods so you could really get in that habit. Consistent writing in small doses accomplishes so much more than waiting to be inspired. It's just one of those things. Um, it's just one of those things where if you just consistently do it, you will become a better writer, right? It's like if you were to practice your basketball fundamentals every single day. If you did that every single day, you will become better. It's just a matter of fact. It's. So we're going to go ahead and respond. These should be on your packets. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes for each one of these. Are inspiration and creativity necessary elements to writing a successful play? Why or why not? So just basically, before I start the timer, basically this is asking just what we went over, right? What I'm telling you is inspiration and creativity necessary writing. I explained to you right now why it wasn't that necessary and what's even more important than inspiration and creativity. So that's basically how I'm asking you to respond. You have 2 minutes. Remember, I expect 3 to 4 sentences on 2 minutes. A minute and a half. All right, you're about a minute. All right, let's go ahead to the next. Sorry, it always does this. All right, so what else do you think goes into writing a play? This is from your thoughts. What else do you think goes into writing besides sitting down and actually writing it? Do you think there's any planning, any thought process? Like, what do you think a playwright's probably think? What do you think a playwright is thinking about when they're writing a play? 2 minutes. Reminder, your notes that you were just writing on for all the different props, that is half of your grade. The packet you're working on right now is the other half. About 35 seconds left. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. What do you expect will happen in the playwriting process? So, what do you think is going to happen when you're thinking about what to write, how to create a play. So, what do you think will happen if some of you don't know? I want you to make a guess what would happen. If some of you do know, or somehow you have an idea, then you're already there. But for those of you who are very like, I don't know, Mr. Y, I don't know what the playwriting process is. I want you to make a guess, right? So think about when you're writing an essay for English class. What normally has to happen before you begin writing? That can be or possibly not be the same way for playwriting process. But if that's what you know, then go off of what you know. Then try to just figure something brand new out. So um, if you already have an idea about playwriting process, write about that. If you know about other forms of writing, or maybe what you do in other classes, you could use that. But I want you to tell me, what do you expect will happen in the playwriting process? 2 minutes. About a minute and 20 seconds left. All right. Let's go ahead to our next response. What are your writing strengths, right? I know some of you may feel like you don't have any, or some of you may have a lot. But for specifically for those of you who don't think you have any, if you don't have your writing strengths, then tell me about your weaknesses. Because apparently, if that's hard, right? If you can't find that, then I know there's some things that you wish you would like to work on. So you can either write about your strengths, or you could tell me about some of the weaknesses you have and what you know you should improve on. So 2 minutes right there. So remember, you're writing about your strengths, or if you're someone who doesn't believe in your strengths at the moment, you can write about your weaknesses and how you can improve on them. About 45 seconds left on this prompt. About 20 seconds. Ten seconds to go ahead and finish your thoughts. All right. Oh. All right. So, last one. What are your fears about writing? Kind of what are those things that you don't like about writing? It could be about, for this class, for instance, it could be things like sharing your writing with others, having your play read in front of the class, coming up with an idea that you think is good enough to be with the others. So things along those lines. So, what are your fears about writing? I can tell you my biggest fears are always being told my misspelling is god awful. I mean, my spelling is god awful, and that my punctuation is usually off. I mean, it doesn't scare me about writing. It's one of those things that like live in the back of my head that I know sometimes comes up. You have about a minute left on this prompt. About 15 seconds left. Go ahead and finish your thoughts. All right. So we're going to move on. So now we're on the day 2 portion. So we're a little behind in class, but that's completely fine. If this is where you start off, then you're in a good spot. But I believe most classes today, with the exception of second period, is on day 2. And that was just because of Toreador time. So, yeah. All right. So, entry prop. What does a playwright do? List the actions of a typical writer. I'm going to give you... Ooh, I didn't put a timer. I'm actually going to give you only 2 minutes for this. So we'll go ahead and write that somewhere. 2 minutes. What does the playwright do? List the actions of a typical writer. I don't want you to copy what's on your packets. I really want you to just try and pretend like you didn't have it yet. Just go ahead and list the actions. You have about 30 seconds left on this. What does a playwright do? List the actions of a typical writer. All right. So, what is a playwright? Um, the playwright is someone who just writes plays. So, if you're already thinking that, you're on the right path. Right? So, what does a playwright do? One, like we all said, right? They write plays. They gather ideas and record slash document them. Right? Someone who's trying to come up with something as a playwright, you're going to be gathering up every single idea you have. They visualize character and conflict. For those of you who've been in a play before, or even when you're doing your scene acting, right? As a writer, you need to visualize that. And that's extremely important when you're trying to come up with a story, right? How do the characters move about the room? They write when they don't want to. So just as most of you right now may not feel like writing, that's usually when you're going to get your best idea out, is when you're forced. Not necessarily forced, but when you're, honestly, when you're forcing yourself to write. They process feedback. So you're actually going to be giving feedback to each other after you finish writing your first portion of the play. But yes, that is something that helps out a lot. They rewrite. Your original script is never going to be the first one, right? So what you write today isn't going to be what you turn in. You're going to have either a second draft or a third draft. And it's never just editing your first copy and not rewriting it. No, you have to rewrite the whole thing. It helps. It gets you to become a better writer. It gets those ideas out. They hear and see their work during the process. So as we continue this, some of you may or may not see your work being spoken by other students and performed in front of the class. So make sure when you're writing, you understand that this is going to be something you see, and you're going to have to see before you and see what's working and what's not. They encourage interpretation, but also verbalize their intention. So you're okay with other people reading it and giving you what they took from it, but you also have to understand it's okay to verbalize what your intention was. And as a playwright, or as a young playwright, you're going to realize that your intention and people's perception never really align. And so that's something that writers have to work on, because they don't want their attention to get skewed or be misinterpreted most of the time, right? They kind of want to always hit the nail on the hammer. Hit the hammer on the nail. They get their work produced and know the value of production, meaning when they're writing their plays and they're writing them out, they know what can realistically be done with the budget for that theater. And so they're never writing something that's extremely crazy. They're always taking everything into consideration. They get their work published, but that only comes after production. So I don't know if you know this, but any play that you ever read, depending on some of them, in the beginning of the pages, you can actually see who are the original cast. And it's only until after that's been done that that work can get published and be made into a book. So if you ever write a play, you have to wait until it is performed. And that performance could be anywhere, but it has to be performed. That includes middle schools and high schools. So right now, I want you to write what on this list do you already know is part of the writing process. So like, which of the items did we just talk about you already kind of knew was on there? We have 1 minute and 30 seconds. About 40 seconds left. All right, about 5 seconds. So wrap up your thoughts. All right. Oh my God. Oh yeah. So what on the list were you unaware of as part of the playwriting process? What were some things that you didn't know were part of the playwriting process? I'll give you about a minute and 30 seconds to write that out. About 25 seconds left. About 10 seconds left. All right. What surprised you on the list? What out of all those things kind of caught you off guard? You probably thought wasn't a big deal or wasn't on the list. Just anything that surprised you. About 30 seconds. Yeah, about 5 seconds. All right. Next one. What isn't on the list that you thought would be on the list? So from that list, you see what a playwright does. What were some things that you thought would have been on it? So about a minute and 30 seconds on that. About a minute left. About 25 seconds left. All right, 10 seconds left. Go ahead and finish whatever copies you do have. Finish whatever thoughts you have. All right, next one. What do you think playwrights aim for? Why do you think playwrights aim for production before publication? That's a little tricky one. Don't worry about writing to that one because we didn't talk about it. But actually, the reason I could tell you playwrights aim for production before publication is because they need to hear their words. Sometimes after producing a play, they even have rewrites of the entire play. And so sometimes it could take a playwright up to 2 years before he's truly ready for publication, but publication is also going to seek that he had his production. And usually they go with the first production, even if that's not the original script that they used for that production, because so many changes have been made. So just a little tip right there. All right. So show, don't tell. This is for sure going to be it's probably going to be almost over for some of you classes, but for second period, you're probably going to be at this point right now to where you can go and keep going. So we're going to keep going. So write a conversation within a defined relationship. So here's an example. Gwyneth, oh, Chad. Chad, Gwynny, oh, Chad. Gwynny, oh, Chad. Collapsing Gwyneth to his chest. I'm right here, Gwyneth. I'm right here. I will always be here. Gwyneth, but we must part, Chad. They're tearing us apart. It's so upsetting. Holding his palm to his heart. In here, Gwen, I will always, always, always be in your heart. Our hearts beat as one. You must always remember that. Chad, Chad, Chad. Chad, 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 Chad. Chad, Chad. I know exactly what you mean. Oh, Chad, I know. Oh, Chad. I know. How can your parents do this to us? You have to talk to them. I have, Gwynny, and I have to avile. They cannot be aviled. There is no aviling them. It's monstrous. I'm pretty sure I said that aviled word wrong. If I did, you can correct me when I get back to school. So, what's the relationship? How do we know? So, that should be something you'll talk with each other, right? Or yourselves, but I believe we could see that the relationship is that they're a couple, right? We know that they're a couple even though they never said it, just because of the words that they used for each other, right? So we know that they're a couple simply because at the fact of how they were speaking with each other. All right, so next time in theater, we want to show rather than tell. Sorry, I don't know why I said next time. But in theater, we always want to show rather than tell. So, right, we're going to show that we're angry. We're not just going to tell that we're angry. So you are going to practice showing relationships rather than telling relationships. Boom. Father, have you finished your homework? I got us tickets to the Raptors game. Are you coming to my game? Next time, kid, I gotta work. So in this relationship, right, we see that they already have that father and son relationship. I mean, granted, you see father and son, but if you took those out and you saw the words, you kind of get the feeling like, oh, okay, I can see that relationship being built. I see how they're trying to show us that this father and son, as opposed to saying, hi, I'm your father. Have you finished your homework? That's not necessarily the case, right? So make sure you always show us, don't tell. So choose one of the following relationships and location. a coach and an athlete on the track, an older and younger sibling at the bus station, a parent and child at a restaurant, two grandmothers at the front window. Write a conversation between the two characters without using any identifiers. If you write a scene between father and son, you can't say father, dad, or son. If you're writing, for example, with a boyfriend or girlfriend, you can't have them say boyfriend or girlfriend. So you have to do this where you're gonna show us the relationship. You're not gonna tell us the relationship. So we're gonna avoid those words. So you need at least a one double space paged, and do it in the same format as you see this on your packet, right? The excerpt from OCHAD. And you're going to create a one double page scene. All right, so I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to write that out.